and give us an answer!
The people of Eastern Passage rally for Hartlen Point.
Halifax honors the victims of the Colorado Springs shooting.
Why is there a crime to love who you want to love?
I give you free haircut, you and all your friends.
And haircuts hit the road with a new local business.
This is the Video Signal. Our top story, a protest to save Hartlen Point, known as one of the top 10 burning destinations in Canada.
Now the community wants to stop Ottawa from building its weapons testing facility outside their doors. Crystal Green has more.
They are not doing their job. This is serious.
People are angry at the government. They are also concerned for the environment.
These are my children. This is my spouse. He's a fisherman. Now, D&D told us that in our area, we will no longer be able to go fishing there because it is too dangerous.
They rallied outside of MP Darren Fisher's office. Fisher is not the MP for Hartlen Point, but he supports a new warships testing facility to be built by the Department of National Defence. In a news release, Fisher said, "This project not only helps secure the future of Canadian maritime sovereignty, it also brings jobs and other economic benefits to the Dartmouth region." This land-based weapons testing facility would sit right at Hartlen Point on the eastern tip of Halifax Harbour. This $65 million project would be used to test weapons for 15 new warships. It's the largest new fleet since World War II. Powerful radio waves would be transmitted at a 130-degree angle into the Atlantic Ocean. Lobster fishing Area 33 is right offshore. It's one of the most lucrative fishing grounds in Nova Scotia.
These guys want to build a testing facility right on our lobster grounds. And the lobsters migrate in the springtime to spawn. And we're very concerned that it's going to affect their spawning patterns, where they live, like just everything.
Craig Hartlen has been living at the spot named after his family for over 35 years, and it was other people in his family who sold land at Hartlen Point to D&D. Now, this may affect his family's well-being.
It's our lives. It's where we lived like for the last 50 years. You know, it's where our grandparents lived. You know, it's time to get some answers before you test us. Don't use us as test subjects.
D&D declined an interview but replied by email. "We are still completing the environmental studies and have extensive design work to complete before we know the specifics of the facility and its exact location." The people of Hartlen Point obtained a site analysis report through Access to Information. The report says radio emissions could have potential adverse impact to the populace's health and safety. Nikki Gillette helps organize the Protect Hartlen Point campaign. Their online petition has reached over 16,000 signatures. Gillette is an avid birdwatcher.
Hartlen Point is used as a staging ground for hundreds of thousands of migratory birds each year. This is where they stop to feed, drink, and rest, as well as a point of reference when flying over. The development will definitely disrupt their stopover grounds.
The Department of National Defence called for one-on-one meetings with the organizers. Another public meeting is scheduled for mid-December. The environmental assessment is due early in the new year. Crystal Green, The Signal, Hartlen Point, Nova Scotia.
Now to the local reaction on the mass shooting in Colorado.
A gunman opened fire at a queer nightclub in Colorado Springs earlier this month.
This week, NASCAD students held a vigil to mourn the victims. Here's what I heard.
1, 2, 3.
Anger and sadness filled the speeches at the vigil as they mourned the 5 people who were shot and killed at Club Q. Dozens of candles expressed the burning need for acceptance in Halifax and beyond.
Everybody's been emotional over the last sort of 2 weeks and throughout the month with trans remembrance and trans issues being at the forefront of things. Just to sort of affirm as a community that we're all present and that we're all looking out for each other. I think it's reassuring.
Why is there a crime to love who you want to love?
While some sounded a note of defiance, others spoke about their personal journeys.
I just recently came out to my dad and my family, and it hasn't been as great as I expected it to be.
Gregory Rogers works at Indulge, the only queer nightclub in Halifax. People at the Vigil said the shooting at Club Q shows the need for safer spaces.
It's somewhere where you can actually walk into the doors and you don't have to worry about somebody giving you a side eye in the grocery store. You don't have to worry about being misgendered. You don't have to worry about putting on this act to be who everybody else in the world wants you to be. We need to do stuff like this tonight because people are trying to take that from us.
More than 50 people attended the Vigil. One organizer had a clear message.
Be queer. Don't be afraid of being queer.
Getting a haircut can make you feel confident, but getting to a barber shop is not always easy.
That's why a new Halifax business owner is choosing to take his barbershop to you. Brad Chandler has the story.
I'm coming here. I give you free haircut, you and all your friends.
They say the greatest members of a community are defined by how well they treat their least fortunate of neighbors. And one man who recently began calling Halifax his home is looking to give back. On Sunday, Mohammed Al-Nabelsi opened what he says is Halifax's first ever mobile barbershop.
All the guys, they say great idea, it's very nice idea, and I'm happy for that.
The business on wheels is simply called Al-Nabelsi. It's offering free haircuts each Wednesday for those less fortunate in the HRM.
I badly needed a haircut too.
Al-Nabelsi invested over 2 months and $130,000 into customizing a barbershop that he will bring to customers who are unable to travel to get their haircut.
Basically, he noticed while working at the barber shop, he noticed many people with disability or have difficulty to go to the barber shop, so he thought he could serve the community by going to the people and helping them, having a haircut right in front of their house.
The mobile shop is equipped with its very own barber's chair, a mirror, and even an accessible wheelchair lift. Al-Nabelsi arrived in Halifax from Syria nearly 3 years ago and is waiting for family members to arrive in the coming weeks. He says he feels it was only right to give back to the people of his new home.
Are you happy? Very. It's very nice. I like it here. Its people is very good. Yes, I like it, people. It's Halifax for me is number one. See you next week.
Very good job, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Brad Chandler, The Signal, Halifax.
If you're on social media in Halifax, you may have seen the guy who dresses up as local landmarks.
Reporter Chase Fitzgerald caught up with him last week to see what he's sewing up next.
I started to get known as like the Peggy's Cove guy on TikTok, so becoming Peggy's Cove kind of like it just made sense. My name is Colin J. Muse. I've lived in Halifax for about 10 years. I work a day job as an X-ray technologist, but this costume making experience has become probably my main project and focus. I think part of the value in what I'm doing is that I am taking it so seriously, and there's like a good month or two gap between each look, and there's anticipation, and what I put out I think is more about challenging myself to make the next one like perfect and really polished. I think I have 12.5 or 13,000 followers, and some of them have gone over 1 million like views. A lot of my stuff gets reposted so widely to Halifax Noise or CBC or Haligonia that it's kind of unavoidable. I think there's always just going to be people that don't understand what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or you know, don't see the like comedy behind it, because I think there's a lot of comedy that I intend with it. So I've done 5 total. Peggy's Cove was first, obviously. Shortly thereafter, I began working on the Citadel Hill clock tower because I felt like that was probably like the next most iconic Halifax landmark that we have. And then I did the wave on the waterfront, that big blue sculpture that the kids crawl all over. I did Purdy's Wharf. And then the last one is the Tufts Cove smokestacks, the power generating station kind of across the harbor, which I feel like is a good representation of how we take this symbol or this landmark that isn't necessarily like representative of culture or anything beautiful or monumental. It's literally like a power plant, but we see these smokestacks like everywhere. People post pictures of them or do artwork of them or put them on shirts, and it's like somehow become representative of Halifax and Dartmouth, despite being kind of like a myth landmark. But after that, I really want to be like a donaire because I think people will be surprised by it.
I was on assignment in my hometown this weekend. I saw a local tradition that's only around once a year.
Yes, David, it's a classic sign that Christmas has come to Nova Scotia.
I stopped by the Lobster Trap Christmas tree in Musquodoboit Harbor.
Community members, including the local high school hockey team, built the tree.
I remember going to this growing up.
When are they going to light the tree, David?
December 3rd at 5:30 p.m., followed by the local parade of lights. Before the parade, children can go inside and get photos with Santa.
Coming up, a holiday show to get you into the spirit.
And the horses of Halifax are stirring up the cash.
That's later on the video signal. Is Kings's friendly feline under fire?
The owner of beloved campus cat Shardy got served a warning.
As rumors rocked campus, I went to find out what really happened between Shardy and the school's administration. Take a look. Kings's neighborhood cat, Shardy, has increased her visits to campus over the last few months, racking up over 900 followers on her Instagram account, Shardy on the Block.
I really like seeing her. I think she's a nice part of the Kings community.
She just makes everyone happy. I think that's the important thing about her, just being around here.
But on November 25th, Shardy's owner, Addie, got an alarming call from a King's facilities staffer, saying Shardy had allegedly gotten into the dining hall kitchen through the shipment receiving door, and that if she continued to roam around inside and unsupervised, there would be consequences.
He was just kind of saying that if I, can't control the situation, that the next option would be to take her to a pound, which I thought was pretty drastic considering I hadn't been giving any other complaints or warnings up to this point. It's hard. She's an animal, and an animal that's allowed outdoors and has a lot of friends and fans that love her and love seeing her in these places.
We went to the top to seek comment about the possibility that Shardy could end up at the pound.
But, I respect the judgment of members of the King's staff who think that might be necessary, but I certainly hope it doesn't come to that.
With building workers unable to comment, we spoke with their boss.
I don't think there is a need to overreact too much about the pound. I hope that that probably the correct term is animal control, and I think what they do is actually just bring the animal to the SPCA.
Leahy, facilities, and Shardy's owner agree that no animal should be in the kitchen. However, the owner says it's out of her hands.
There isn't a lot I can do about that situation where if people are letting her in, because obviously with it being cold now, the doors aren't always open, so people are going to have to be letting her into these buildings.
Oh my God, Shardy, the infamous.
Wagshaw had this to say to King's students.
If you're going to have an animal, and if you're letting an animal indoors, please take responsibility for that animal for the whole time that you have it indoors. And when you're done with the animal, you need to make sure that you take it back outside again.
I'm not concerned about, her no longer being allowed in residence. That's not what my concern is. I would just like there to not be any bad blood between myself, my cat, and the university.
This curious cat is still allowed on campus, but her paws are on thin ice. Ella MacDonald, The Signal, Halifax.
The Seaforth International Film Festival has been on hiatus for 7 years. This weekend, it had its triumphant return.
The festival screened nearly a dozen short films with the theme of Eastern Shore community.
I was at the event. Here's what I saw.
My name is Aviva Trammell, and today we had the 2022 Seaforth International Film Festival. It's the first one we've had in 7 years. This is a really amazing, tight-knit community, and we had to start somewhere. So the place to start for a community event was, let's make it about community and see what people bring to the table.
Surfing is cruel and surfing is brutal. Brutal, but also from brutal comes really special things.
My name is Kate Lightstone. I'm an emerging filmmaker who lives on the South Shore near Bridgewater in Nova Scotia, and I submitted the film Carolee for the Seaforth International Film Festival.
She's fantastic. First of all, technically it was fantastic. And you can tell it's shot on a phone, as in even the angle of how it's held. So it shows how accessible filmmaking is now.
Carolee is a really close person to me. She's been a really incredible role model, and she is a great example of what we need more of in this community. And so I used to be a part of this community, and it's really close to my heart. Eastern Shore is not a big community, and it's pretty easy to go to by your day-to-day business and not really see what goes on behind the scenes. The more we understand about what's going on in the small communities in Nova Scotia, the better understanding we'll get of what these communities need and what keeps them together and what keeps that fire of the heart burning.
So I think it can turn into anything. I think it could turn into where we do filmmaking workshops, where we do lecture series, where it turns into, a several-day event, a week-long, event of different categories.
What does the surf community look like in the future? Hopefully like a little bit of old and a little bit of new, and it's hopefully more representation and better ideas, and I don't know, I think it could be cool.
I think that anything's possible. I'm very interested in keeping it small in the sense of that it's accessible to the everyday person.
Halifax's only nonprofit horse riding school has wrapped up its fall fundraiser.
They've raised more than $30,000 for horse care and rider programs. Matthew Hebert has the story.
While you may not see them outside in the cold November weather, the Halifax Lancers and their horses are still riding like the wind indoors. This month, the riding school has been raising money to maintain the horses and their home.
So this fundraiser goes towards programs, it goes towards caring for the horses. We do want to make riding as accessible as possible to people of all income levels. And so that means that we keep our fees as low, but we also run lots of programs.
It's the third annual No Stirrups Ride-a-thon. Stirrups are the small metal rings that allow riders to rest their feet while in the saddle. Hopping on the horse without them is a challenge for riders of all ages.
Riding without your stirrups, it's a skill that all riders need to have. It requires a lot of strength. We all notice that after the month of November, we all get a bit stronger.
Full 10-meter circle back.
Maya Hackard has been riding horses since she was 3 years old. She says the fundraiser has made her a better rider.
You have to use more of your muscles in your leg, squeezing with your legs more so you can stay upright, and more core strength so you can stay upright and control the horse too.
The donations will go towards a number of programs, including a therapeutic riding program. It is designed to help a wide variety of people with disabilities and diagnoses.
We believe that the horses are here for everyone in the city. That's why we call them the Horses of Halifax. We're all here to clean their stalls, to care for them, to enjoy them, but share them with the people of the city.
So, thanks to the donations from neighbors and the dedication of riders, Lancers will be able to maintain a stable stable this year. Matthew Hebert, The Signal, Halifax.
Elf the Musical premiered at Neptune Theatre this week. It's nearly sold out.
The Christmas production comes from the director of fan favorites, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Misery.
Neptune is tying up the year in a bow with their classic take on a Christmas movie.
I went down to Neptune's rehearsal to see for myself what makes this performance so special.
The challenge has been the last couple of years waiting for this opportunity to bring full audiences back into Neptune again, and this is the show that has done it. I mean, we did Elf 10 years ago and it was a big hit then, and here we are now with the biggest hit of the last couple of years.
I've just been telling people that like when you leave the show, you're going to be singing and laughing all the way home, and I have just as much fun on stage as I hope the audience is having. It just makes me want to be with my family for the holidays. It's really, really touching. Buddy is like, that's a checklist item character for a lot of people. It's just comedy the whole time, very high energy. Yeah, it makes the show go by real fast when you never leave the stage.
So
So Jovi is actually really fun to play because I'm the complete opposite from her. I am sparkle, jolly, twinkle, jingly normally, but I love playing her because she's quite grounded, but at the same time she has a little bit of darkness to her, but in that darkness is a little bit of love and light and hope.
Definitely get your tickets like ASAP. We have a week that we extended into January until January 8th. We have a couple shows in there that still have some decent availability, but I would say if you want to see this show, like, you got to get them quick.
Shut up! Did you get a chance to see the whole show?
I did. I went to the performance last week and I definitely recommend it.
Sounds like fun. Thanks for watching The Video Signal at the University of King's College School of Journalism, Writing, and Publishing.
Tune in next week on Thursday at noon Atlantic time for our live show to cap off the semester. I'm Ella MacDonald.
And I'm David Schumann. For more news stories, follow The Signal on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to signalhfx.ca.
See you next week.